Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Hawk Blogger Mornings. I am Brian Nemhauser. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Hawk Blogger, and it is my second day back from my road trip. Hopefully, you all enjoyed some of the content that I produced while I was gone. There was a bunch to get into, and there's still so much more to cover. I'm actually kind of enjoying this down period between any real news because we can kind of get into the nitty gritty of what it's going to mean for the Seahawks team to actually take a step forward. And what I wanted to focus on today was looking at the Seahawks red zone defense. And if you are a Seahawks fan and you suffered through last season, even though it was a 9-win season, it was really painful at times to watch that defense. I did a show, I recorded a show about the red zone offense, which was actually worse than the red zone defense, if you can believe it, that you should definitely check out because there was some surprising data that I found when I looked through that a little bit, and that video is still up there for you to see. So check out that episode, Seahawks Red Zone Woes on Offense. That was kind of a part one, I would say. There's probably more to do there, but wanted to kind of kick that off. Today, I wanted to look a little bit more at the defensive side of the ball because, look, Mike Macdonald is going to uh, he's going to hopefully have a big impact on that part of the team and has some new players and some new coaches and new scheme to apply. So what I did is, this is not going to be exhaustive, but I wanted to look through what were some of the plays last year in the red zone that were some of the worst EPA plays of the Seahawks in the red zone last year. And again, EPA is expected points added. And I'm not going to go through every single one, but I picked a pretty decent selection of some of these plays that caused essentially the largest shifts in, potential points to the teams based off of these plays. And, you'll see, as I did, that there's some patterns that are interesting to pay attention to here. Before I get into the actual plays themselves, a couple numbers just to ground us so we can know what we're talking about with just where the Seahawks defense fell last year. The Seahawks offense, just to keep it in mind, since we did that before, the Seahawks offense was 25th in the NFL in red zone offense. They converted 48% of their possessions in the red zone into touchdowns. The defense, on the other hand, was 23rd in the NFL. They allowed 59.6% of possessions in the red zone by their opponents to turn into touchdowns. I think it's also worth knowing, as far as red zone opportunities, the Seahawks ranked 24th in the NFL. There was 57 red zone opportunities for their opponents. And so, you're getting, the defense was bad altogether, whether it was in the red zone or not. And the fact of the matter was that when they got to the red zone, it did not necessarily get a lot better, although there's some aspects of the red zone defense that might surprise you that were pretty good. And I'll talk about those in a little bit. But that's just to give you an idea. So again, Seahawks defense ranked 23rd in the NFL, allowing 60% of red zone possessions to turn into touchdowns. All right. So what I did, as I said, I picked some of these plays out based off of the difference in EPA to the game. And I wanted to share with you some of these plays here. And so let me go ahead and do that. This first play, maybe not super indicative of the full season, but this was the worst EPA play of the season. And this was one that I think is still worth showing either way. So I'm going to have to share a few different, let's see, how do I want to do this? I'm going to share it. I'll share it down here. think this will work. Thanks for your patience as I get this all set up so we can have the best experience for you as I kind of go through this stuff. Okay. All right. So let me share this screen for you and get this up here on stage so you can see what I see. All that stack of film. All right. So this is a 4th down situation. Last game of the season against the Arizona Cardinals. And the Seahawks have the Cardinals have the Seahawks at the Seattle 8-yard line. All right. It is 4th down and 3 yards to go. And this is in the 4th quarter. So this is late in the game. This is a key moment in the game. And what I want you to pay attention to here is Nick Bellore. Now, this is why it's maybe not indicative of everything that's going on, but pay attention to Nick Bellore here and what happens to him as this play progresses. All right. So what you're going to see is Nick Bellore starts to get sucked in. All right. He's getting sucked in on this play. There's no reason for Nick Bellore to get sucked in on this play. He's got one offensive player and 3 other defenders in the area. He has no need to. Meanwhile, if you pay attention, you've got 2 Cardinals players now basically with only one defender, Tariq Woolen, available to have to guard both of these guys. All right. Watch what happens here. Kyler Murray sees it the whole way. As Nick Bellore started getting sucked in, this became a very easy play. Trey McBride wide open here for what became a pretty easy touchdown. All right. We're going to see it from another angle. Again, you can watch Nick Bellore here. His eyes he's reading the quarterback. He gets pulled in. Tariq Woolen makes a valiant effort to try and make a play, but cannot. All right. So that is play number 1. Let's take a look at the next play. All right. Next play is an interesting. We're going to watch a little sequence here. This next play is let me try to get this where I can see it better. This next play is a sequence. All right. So this is Dallas ends up with what was a 3rd and 10 situation, but that's not where they're at now. So we're going to watch that. The reason I wanted to show the sequence here is all the defense wasn't bad. A lot of the situations that really hurt the Seahawks were that they just could not get the offense off the field. We'll talk about that more in a second. But ultimately, the Dallas offense would face a 3rd and 10. Let's go ahead and watch these plays progress. So this is a 1st down play. I think this is actually a really nice play by Tariq Woolen. And I'm going to slow this down here. Whoops. So let's watch that again. Let's watch it from this angle. As you can see here, Tariq Woolen actually does a really nice job. Tariq Woolen does a really nice job on CeeDee Lamb on this quick slant. And so what you'll see here is Woolen makes a great play on the ball on a quick slant to knock it away. All right. Early play. So that's 1st down. Another angle here. We're going to skip past. Keep watching. So this is 2nd down. Here, you get nice pressure. Another nice play by Tariq Woolen. I want to rewind that for a second. Let's watch that again. So on this, watch Boye Mafe here come around, get nice pressure, and then watch Tariq Woolen down here at the bottom of the screen on his press. All right, so let's watch that. Watch that unfold. But nice pressure here by Boye Mafe, forces the throw. Tariq Woolen once again makes another good play on the ball. So again, important to understand, it wasn't just a total disaster. There was actually some pretty good red zone defense going on for the Seahawks. But then ultimately, they end up with what was a 3rd down and 10 here. Okay. 3rd down and 10 at the 12-yard line. This is a scoreless game. First quarter. Okay. 10:48 to go. This is a chance for the Seahawks to get off the field with a nice stand in the red zone. 3rd and 10. This isn't 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2. This isn't at the 5-yard line. This is the 12-yard line. And here's what happens. I want you to watch here. This is Jamal Adams. Watch what happens here. This isn't necessarily terrible, but it is a conversion. So let's watch it unfold. He's scrambling around. There's nothing like egregious about this play from a defensive standpoint. Jamal Adams actually has decent coverage. The biggest thing you could say is there ended up not being enough pressure on Dak Prescott, and it gave his receiver enough time to make a play. So if we watch it again from this angle, you see that the initial play here was covered. Jamal Adams plays good coverage, but he essentially runs around here as the play continues to extend because they were not able to get sufficient pressure. So right here, Dak Prescott is not looking. He's looking here. He is not even looking at Kevontae Turpin, who is over here. It's only once he starts scrambling around that his head flips around. He's starting to look. And right now, when his head flips around, there's no opening. Kevontae Turpin is covered. If anything, you could say, oh, Tariq Woolen has lost his man and that's an opportunity. I think that's probably what Prescott's seeing, ends up not making that decision. As he climbs the pocket, he decides that is not what he wants to go for. So he almost like surprisingly decides to just try to fit this in. Again, this is where Dak Prescott's throwing this ball right now, and this is good coverage by Jamal Adams. This is not a like Jamal Adams horror reel right here. And it's somewhat fortunate for the Cowboys that he's able to throw this ball, and as it comes in, he throws it high. Jamal Adams is not great at making plays on the football. Like, that's something we all know. And they got just enough for the first down, and from there, would end up going in and scoring a touchdown. All right. So that is the second sequence I wanted to show. And the thing there is, again, none of that was awful. But, it's worth understanding that I don't think teams had a lot of fear about playing this Seahawks defense in the red zone. And they were pretty aggressive, going for it on 4th down quite a bit, passing the ball. Talk about that a little bit more from a numbers perspective in a minute. But I just wanted to show that as another situation where still, regardless, 3rd and 10 at the 12-yard line at the beginning of the game, that's got to be a play that you get off the field. In that case, they don't. All right. So the next one, there's a number of plays that I pulled from the Dallas game. That was, I think, the game where the Seahawks faced the most red zone opportunities for their opponent. I think Dallas had 8 red zone chances in that game. They ended up only converting 4 of them, but still a lot of red zone opportunities. So here is the third play that I wanted to share, or the third situation. This one is a 2nd down and 8 yards to go. This is 2nd down, 8 yards to go. It's still the first quarter, 4:52 to go in the game, and this is at the 15-yard line of the Seahawks. All right, so here you've got another situation where it's, first down, you did your job. You only allowed 2 yards. It's 2nd and 8. It's a pretty critical moment. Watch what happens here on this play. What I'll ask you to watch, as always, almost watch CeeDee Lamb here, who's in motion, and watch what happens. You have initially Jamal Adams is moving along with him, but watch what happens as this play progresses. So you get the play action and then just a pretty easy throw from Dak Prescott. And what you've got here is, as we pull this back a little bit, you've got the safety. I think that is Quandre Diggs, who is got over the top responsibility here, but he's also got he's got a slot receiver who is going to kind of flood this zone. And so it forces Diggs to have to commit in to cover that one place and leaves that seam right here for CeeDee Lamb, one of the best receivers in the game, to go up against, I think that's Devin Witherspoon, if I'm not mistaken. It might be Trey Brown. Let's see. So we'll see better from this angle. So again, another issue here is pass pressure. So you see a very clean pocket from Dak Prescott to throw from. And that was Devin Witherspoon. I was right the first time. So you see, I mean, it's a good throw. It's a great catch, but that's not that difficult. That's not that difficult of a play. I think passing against the Seahawks defense in the red zone, you're going to see it time and again, is not great. In fact, I'll reveal something for you right now in my research. The Seahawks allowed an average of 4.2 yards per play in the red zone when it was a pass. So 4.2 yards per pass play in the red zone in 2023. Out of 32 teams, that ranked 31st. This was the second worst pass defense in the red zone in the NFL. They allowed first downs or touchdowns on 35% of the pass plays in the red zone. That ranked 25th in the NFL. So I'll talk about in a little bit why run defense wasn't always the problem, but pass defense most often was. All right. So again, let's look at another sequence. There's this sequence from the Dallas game, sticking with that game, where it was this one was eventually a 3rd down and 2 for Dallas at the 16-yard line, but it didn't start that way. So let's watch this sequence where they get a good pass rush. They swing it over, incomplete pass. So 1st down. Let's watch that again, because in contrast to the last few plays, look at how you get some pressure from both edges and even some pressure from the middle developing on that play. And so that forces Dak Prescott he is getting pressure from multiple directions, and he has to get rid of that ball quickly. If he didn't, there's a chance that he has time. He was looking here. I think he felt good here because he had another situation where he had 1 and 2 receivers really having to be defended by 1 player because Quandre Diggs has gotten sucked in against, I think that's Jake Ferguson, their tight end, going down the seam. Don't know if Jamal Adams was out of position and that's why Diggs got pulled in. In fact, let's take a quick look and see what happens to Jamal Adams on this play. So Adams does get sucked in. I don't know what he's sucking in for because there's no receiver here. There's nothing for him to guard. There's no running back even. There's nothing here. So I don't know why Jamal Adams is here. I don't know why, from a linebacker perspective, this might be, spying just in case Dak Prescott decides to take off. But there's no reason for Jamal Adams to be here. And I think this ultimately causes Quandre Diggs to sink in. Now, this happened to be a good play, folks. At least the result does. But there's also these mistakes that are happening that if the pass pressure hadn't gotten there, I think this potentially could have been a touchdown, right? Like if he had time, instead of having to throw short, watch as this play goes and look at how frustrated this receiver is up here. I mean, he's walking into the end zone from the 24-yard line. That should have been an easy touchdown for the Cowboys, but pass pressure forced this incompletion. Okay. So now we'll watch it from the other angle so you can see here. There'll be an even better view of just how open CeeDee Lamb would have been if that play continued. So now it's second down. All right. So second down from the 24, you're still in decent shape. They run it up the middle. And this one, I want to show you folks, it's not the worst run in the world, but there's a common culprit on this. I want you to watch Quandre Diggs on this play. So initial play here, you've got decent blocking going on, and there's a decent gap right here. Bobby Wagner's in the gap. So that's one, but the running back is going to bounce it out. And who's there to actually help when that happens? So running back, what happened there is, if you can see this, is 73 comes off the combo block and takes on Bobby Wagner. So now Wagner's out of the play. That leaves Quandre Diggs, the safety, right here. And if he fills that hole and makes the tackle, this is going to be third and long. This is going to be a third and long play, but that's not what happens. Watch what happens with Quandre Diggs. Arm tackle from the side, barely makes a dent. And then Jamal Adams, who is also coming over from his other safety spot, doesn't help either. He bounces off Jamal Adams. And what should have been a 1 to 2 yard gain becomes an 8-yard gain. So now it's 3rd and 2. And on 3rd and 2 in the red zone, an absolutely easy pickup for the first down. Again, the pass defense for the Seahawks. And you'll see CeeDee Lamb here, first working outside off kind of a pick, and then coming back in to this gap. All right. It's a double pick. It's actually kind of a clever play because first of all, you're going to see CeeDee Lamb work outside, and then you're going to see him come back, pivot, and come back around to get a pick from his player a second time. All right. There's the first pick. There's the second pick. And Trey Brown has no chance really there. And so is that because another thing to watch here, is this because Jamal Adams, was this a called blitz for him? Watch him here. Jamal Adams creeps up, creating a big gap here, like a big lane for that pass to go through. Was that the called play, or was Jamal Adams freelancing? It sure looks like it's the called play. And if it was, again, leaves that team, that Seahawks team, vulnerable to that pass. All right. They would go on to score there. Next play, another Dallas play. Let's take a look at this one. This is a 2nd down and 7. And this comes 2nd down and 7. This is in the 4th quarter at the 12-yard line. And, it's a 1-point game. It's 36-35 here, right? So I want you to watch on this play Jake Ferguson right here. And watch how easy this pitch and catch is. Actually, I think I picked the wrong guy. My bad. Wrong play. I was thinking of the wrong play. Let's try this again. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong. This is 2nd down and 7. I thought this was a pass to Jake Ferguson. Let's see what happens here. I might have the wrong play. This looks like this is going to CeeDee Lamb. Oh, no. That's right. It is Jake Ferguson. Okay. I just had him in the wrong place. Jake Ferguson is in line right here. Okay. This was not the easy one that I was thinking of, but he runs essentially a little wheel and just pulls it out of the hands of Jamal Adams. So Jamal Adams is involved in a number of these plays, and his inability to make a play on the football is costly. And so, as we talk about whether Jamal Adams is going to be back on this team as a linebacker, I don't know if they're going to ask him. Uchenna Nwosu's not making a lot of being asked to make these plays. Obviously, he was out by here. Or Darrell Taylor or Boye Mafe. Those guys are not deep in coverage. So you're talking about potentially different. You're not even talking about Jordan Brooks or Bobby Wagner in a lot of these situations. It is a safety. So who knows? That might affect whether Jamal Adams is put in these situations, but not a great look once again. All right, a few more Dallas plays, and then I'll share a few of the numbers that may or may not be worth knowing. This next one is a little bit of a sequence as well, where once again, Seahawks had a chance to get out of trouble. And what ended up happening is they ended up with a 2nd and 13. So they caused a loss initially, but could not turn that into a win overall. So this first play is a running play, if I remember correctly. And you're going to see this is where Jamal Adams shows some of why the Seahawks are interested in him as a linebacker. So you see him close to the line of scrimmage, off ball, essentially playing as one of the off ball linebackers, sensing the play, chasing it down from the back, and making a great tackle. And so now you have a 2nd down and 13 and just a little tunnel screen. But what is going on here? I mean, a little tunnel screen on 2nd and 13 turns into a 1st down. That's Devin Bush. That's Boye Mafe chasing. Like, all of those guys, just maybe the right play call at the right time, but you see Devin Bush not able to make that play, and there's nobody else there. Bobby Wagner got pulled way out of position. Jamal Adams, once again, not in a position to help on that play. And that ends up being costly for the Seahawks. Let me show one more from the Dallas game. Let me see if this is the right one that I'm thinking of. No, this is not the right one. Not great either. Since I got it, I'll show it to you. This was a short run by, let me see, who is this? I think it was Tony Pollard. Yeah, I think this was a 2nd down and 6 in the 3rd quarter. Let me double check that. From the 6-yard line, does that seem right? I think so. No, that looks like the 10. In any event, not a great outcome here. As what you see is, again, what was awful here is if you watch Jamal Adams, he jumps for some reason. I don't know what he thinks jumping is going to do to get through this double team. Boye Mafe is being washed out. Double team here. Devin Bush has to be a guy that makes a play, or another safety like Quandre Diggs. Instead, what you get is an overrun by Devin Bush, which allows for a cutback, and then there's nobody else there to make the play, and you get a touchdown. I mean, I told you, folks, if this is where you take your Pepto-Bismol, you cover your eyes a little bit, watch through shaded fingers, but it's painful. But you kind of got to look at these things to understand what has to change going into next year. I wanted to switch and show a couple plays from the Pittsburgh game. Speaking of just awful, awful games, this next play was, again, this was 1st quarter, if I'm remembering correctly. This was 1st quarter, 1:53 to go, a 2nd and 8 from the 18-yard line. All right. And this was a perfect encapsulation of what went on in this game overall. So, again, 2nd down, 8 yards to go. So you did your job on 1st down. You only allowed 2 yards. And then if you watch Jaylen Warren here, what he's able to do, how easily he's able to do it, it turns your stomach. Comes up the middle. He does not get touched. He does not get touched for the entire play. I mean, it is very hard to watch. And so as you watch here, you've got Jaron Reed pushed completely out of the play. You've got, I think that's Leonard Williams pushed out of the play. You've got Devin Bush over here, who is never involved. He needs to be the guy filling this hole, but instead he is moving off to the right for no reason. There's no reason for him to be moving that direction. He now realizes his mistake. He tries to get back over, but it's too late. He's engaged in a block, and it's over. Nobody ever touches him. All right. One more play from that game. Similar situation. This is a 2nd and 9, and this is like, again, very emblematic of why this game, in my mind, lost Pete Carroll his job. You cannot claim to be a tough team and have toughness and circle of toughness and then have a game like that against a very mediocre Pittsburgh team. So this is 2nd and 9. And this is at the 9-yard line. Close game, 2nd quarter, 16-14 still. So again, remember, this is a game where the Seahawks playoff chances are essentially on the line. If the Seahawks win this game, their playoff odds were very good. They're at home going against Mason Rudolph. You know that Pittsburgh's going to want to try to run. The Seahawks have how many guys in the box here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys in the box, right? Should not be possible to run the ball. Watch what happens on this play. Now you could say you have 10 guys. All right. Handoff in the middle. At this point, it should be a dead play. You've got plenty of support. You also have the safety who knows this is Quandre Diggs coming up. You outnumber their offensive players in that situation. You've got Julian Love, missed tackle. Bobby Wagner, a rare missed tackle. You've got Draymond Jones, missed tackle. And everybody else is just kind of watching. Look at Quandre Diggs right here. he just assumes that he's down. I saw this from Quandre too often last year, where it just the absolute pursuit. And what does Mike Macdonald say? Like uncommon energy, or there's something he used in his coach's clinic to describe the way he wants his team to be recognized, which is just an unnatural amount of energy and pursuit. And this play is a perfect example where that just wasn't the case. All right. So Quandre just kind of jogs over there and Harris dives in for the touchdown. Even Mike Jackson here, I can't say that he really, like, look at, he's just kind of striding. He's just kind of like, oh, he's going to go down. I'm not going to get involved. I'm going to kind of follow along. Oh, wait, I'm going to stop completely because I think he's down. Oh, no, he's not down. I should kind of jog that direction. that was, this game was just so aggravating. This is the last play I'm going to show, by the way. But watch Quandre Diggs, watch the overall effort here. It's just a lot of guys just giving like half-ass effort. And I think that that's something that you just can't have. You can't have. It should be obvious, but you can't have it. And so when I went back and I did a few more, I dove in a little bit more. I wanted to look at some of the numbers here, but you could see it's like a mix of things that were going on there. And a lot of it was just attention to detail and physicality and I think just the actual coordination of, the team playing together as opposed to a bunch of individuals. And when I looked back on it, it was like, man, a lot of these plays were the Seahawks giving up a key play on 3rd down or 4th down in the red zone. So I went back and I looked at this to see like where they were in those situations. And the Seahawks, unfortunately, there's a bug right now that's keeping me from being able to do all the rankings numbers I want, but I was able to get some data that I can share. On the Seahawks on 4th down and 1 in the red zone last year, 1 yard, 4th down and 1. They gave up an average of 4.3 yards per play when only 1 yard was needed. Every single opportunity was converted to a 1st down or a touchdown. 4th down and 1, the Seahawks never got off the field in the red zone last year. 4th down and 1 to 2 yards, so 2 yards or less is maybe an easier way to say it. They gave up an average of 2.6 yards. So again, they averaged allowing more yards than what was to gain. They gave up 60% conversions on 4th and 2 yards or less in the red zone. Now, when they got to 4th and 3 yards or less, things got a little bit better. They did give up only 2.4 yards, which is less than 3 at least. And they still allowed a conversion of 45%. So still, even in a situation where it's 4th and 3, it's pretty long. You're talking about basically a coin flip about whether the opponent were going to convert that. So even if you've done your job on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down to give the team a reasonably long 4th down to have to go for, one, I don't think offenses feared the Seahawks defense in any way, shape, or form. So they went for it quite a bit. And 2, they had a lot of success. So that's 1. I also looked at 3rd down. The picture's better, but not great. I would say that here's some maybe more general numbers. On 3rd or 4th down, anywhere in the red zone, okay? The Seahawks gave up an average of 3.9 yards on 3rd or 4th down. That ranked 30th in the NFL. So a big part of this problem was that the Seahawks, once they got to 3rd down or 4th down, could not finish the job. And I think that the scheme was not sophisticated enough. Offenses were confident about what they were seeing. They also were confident about the talent and who they were going against. I think all those things contributed to this. The Seahawks gave up an average of they gave up 47% conversion rate. Again, that can be a first down or a touchdown when they faced a third or fourth down. That ranked 26th in the NFL. All right. And that's anywhere in the red zone. When it was first or second down in the red zone, the Seahawks gave up an average of 2.9 yards. That ranked 13th in the NFL. So again, this is kind of similar to the offense's problem that we saw, not just red zone specific, but anywhere on the field. The offense was one of the best first down and second down offenses, early down offenses in the league last year. And then it just went to crap on third down. Well, on defense in the red zone, it was a similar story. First and second down, they weren't one of the best, but they were in the top half of the league in the red zone on defense. And then third and fourth down, things fell apart. So I think that is one part of this aspect that Mike Macdonald's going to have to look at. Thankfully, third down is his specialty. Like, that is what he does, and that is where he shines. So I think that that's encouraging in that sense. The other piece that I wanted to mention, I did talk to you about how their pass defense ranked 31st in the NFL in red zone pass defense, giving up 4.2 yards per play. Well, this is another thing that's interesting. Their run defense, you might be shocked to hear this. The Seahawks run defense in the red zone gave up an average of 2.4 yards per play, which ranked third. It ranked third in the NFL in yards per play on the ground last year in the red zone. I was shocked to see that. Maybe you're not, but I was. But it is worth knowing that the Seahawks faced so many red zone runs. They faced 100 red zone runs last year by opponents. That was the third most in the league. Only Arizona and Carolina had more red zone rushing attempts against them than the Seahawks. And for the Seahawks then to still be one of the best teams in limiting yards per run, I think is encouraging. But I think that it also demonstrates that opponents did not respect this defense or the strength of this defense and felt like they could run against them. They felt like they could, even though the numbers show that they didn't. They felt a lot of confidence that they could. And we saw in some of those plays, especially in the Pittsburgh game. Oh, yeah. I mean, they did. They were successful. So generally what we saw, what I saw when I was looking at this, is the pass defense was the primary issue in the red zone. One of the worst pass defenses in the NFL in the red zone. That broke up into a number of different issues. Some of it was there's some blown assignments. I didn't show some of those, but there were definitely some blown assignments. There was, I think, quite a bit of bad safety play in the red zone. I think that if the Seahawks can just make more assignment correct decisions by their safeties in the red zone, they'll be better off. Similarly, the off-ball linebackers were getting sucked into places where they needed to not. And then there's scheme stuff where too often teams were getting exactly what they were looking for, where they had multiple players flooding a zone, flooding a place where there was only one Seahawks defender. And that was very rarely going to be the issue, the workable solution for Seattle. In addition to that, the pass rush wasn't great when it came to the red zone. A lot of those plays, quarterback had plenty of time and was very comfortable in the pocket, which always is going to contribute to passing success. One of the few times I showed you that they got pass pressure, that likely prevented a touchdown. So I think a lot of those things on the good side of this line up with where Mike Macdonald's strengths are, which are scheming up pressures, making offenses feel very uncomfortable, making quarterbacks not know what they are seeing. And The other piece that I think is I'm optimistic about here is people don't make a big deal about Rayshon Jenkins or Kayvon Wallace or Tyrell Dodson or Jerome Baker. Those are kind of middling, not super exciting names. But to a man almost, those guys are all great tacklers. And there's a lot of situations where we are watching players just not be able to bring somebody down, especially Quandre Diggs, at times Jamal Adams. I think that's another real concern about the way the team played last year that I think there's reason to be optimistic will be different this year. So that was a little bit of what I pulled together as kind of my initial pass through the Seahawks red zone defense and some of the woes from last year, and maybe where there's an opportunity for Mike Macdonald to start finding solutions to what could be solvable problems. If you haven't already given the show a like and click subscribe, come on, please. I would appreciate it. Really trying to grow the community. It helps other people find what we're doing here. I would really love it if you could take a second and click that like button. Thank you for that. And then go over to patreon.com/hawkblogger. We're getting more and more people joining the community all the time. In fact, I'm going to go see an Everett Aqua Sox game, see Laz Montez play tonight in Everett with a couple folks from the Patreon Slack group. So it's a great place to meet folks. Great place to get the audio versions for all of these podcasts ad-free. So patreon.com/hawkblogger is a great way to support us, as well as becoming a YouTube member. You can do that. Link is in the description of the video. It's easy to do, and you'll be happy that you did it. Lots of great folks have been joining and doing that as well. All right, folks. Until the next time, which will be tomorrow, I wish you all a wonderful rest of your weekend. I'm Brian Emhauser. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at HawkBlogger. This has been another episode of Hawk Blogger Mornings.